We're off in a motor car. 20 bobbies are after us. Hello, I've got one student again today that I can see. I hope there's plenty more joining us. Anyway, we're on to charcoal and acrylic. This is the last one we did of some fella that Christine sent me the picture of. I can't remember who it was, but never mind. Today we're doing, yes, you've guessed it, Chris Christopherson, no, Jeff Bridges, yes, who is the son of Lloyd Bridges and also the brother of Bo Bridges. So there you go, all actors. So yeah, nice picture. I feel like I look like him today because my hair's a mess. So we are going to try and get a likeness. But don't worry about it, because if you don't, it doesn't matter. So he's got a really boogie, deep set eyes, face, staring at you. So it should be quite simple. Easier than this one because he's turned to the side. So because he's looking straight at you. So we start off with willow charcoal, and then we're going to use a bit of compressed, and then we do the glaze, fix it, glaze it, and then we add the colour you want. You can use bird sienna, alizarin, blue, green, whatever, and then rub out the light bits with a damp cloth, and the rubber first, sorry, and then a damp cloth after you glazed it. Okay, those who've done it before will know what I'm talking about. Those who haven't, well, just watch and you'll find out. Alright, it's just another technique which I do like doing, so yeah, if you like doing it too. Probably, most people who try it and get it right, or get the technique right, enjoy doing it and want to do it again. So it's all about trying different ways of expressing yourself to make something aesthetically pleasing. How's that? Learned that at uni. Okay, so there we go. I hope the internet's alright today, sorry, it's not night yet. Although it's going dark outside. I think it's going to pour down. Just have a drink. And I'll take this fella off. There we are. Paper, acrylic, gessoed lining paper with a bit of tape all the way around to seal it and stop it from cockling too much. Okay, so Mr. Bridges, we're going to go an hour. You can take as long as you like. Willow charcoal. Willow charcoal is burnt wood. I used to cover the whole thing, but slowly I'm changing into doing little bits. And we look at the kind of the image of him. Most of the darks are over this side, so we can actually just put a lot of darks over there. And this is just make sure your gesso is completely dry, and else it will have you'll have a big black stain and you won't be able to get rid of it. And like I said before, we can create all sorts of different textures by doing this, as well as using your gesso underneath and your brush marks before you actually paint over the top. So just kind of blend it. If you want to leave some light over here, that's fine. If you want to use a bit of water splattering, that's fine as well. You might have to dry it off a little bit. Textures. Could be his hair. Okay. Spots in his beard. You can utilise it. Sorry you can't hear me. that would dry quite quick actually. Not a lot of water, just drops. And then clean water. I'm going to draw the head. It is a bit wet, you can see. But if you rub it like that, the gesso will stick to the darker parts of his face. Anyway, I'm just going to draw the head. So it's central. Yeah, it's in the centre. So I'm looking at that. So that's the centre of the egg. I'm going to draw the egg. You want to get his hair on, so you need to be further down than the top of the paper. So that's the top of the egg, like that. And you want to get his chin on and his beard, which is about here. Yeah? So we keep that egg shape. For those who like doing eggs, those who don't, do it your way. And we need to get his neck on, like that. And his shoulders coming off the picture, so you don't have to put them in yet. Okay, and he's looking straight at you. First thing we need to do, put the eyes in. And they're halfway. Measure it, yeah? Top of his head, under his hair, and then from the eyes down to the bottom of his chin. Halfway. Alright? I know you can't see it because of his beard. So I've got a straight line there. Straight line there. Keep the straight line. Alright? And then, I know he's kind of frowning. He's got this kind of ridged eyebrows in the middle of his nose, but still put an egg in, and then we put two eyes in, one there, end up with three eyes, but that's the distance between the two. You can see that line goes through the centre of your circle. So I've always got dark areas and things like that, but don't worry about that. He's looking at you. So the pupil's in the middle, the iris is in there. Now we can't see a lot of his eyes, but we can see the shadows. And because he's kind of frowning at you like that, this is the shape we see. So we put the top eyelid in like that, and the knitted eyebrows, can I say, like that, going into the nose. And the eyebrows are on top of the circle, but they're also, because the top eyelid's deep set, so that's why you can see the top of the eyelid and then the corners and then the shapes of the shadows. Alright? You can get that more or less straight away. And if you get it right, you position his eyes straight away. If you think it's too wide, just bring them in a bit. But I would do that at the end actually, so you know. Your nose is usually halfway when someone's looking at you. The tip, or the bottom of the nose, which sits on your face, is usually halfway from the eyes to the chin. Yeah, like that. The tip of the nose is higher. Yeah. Somebody said my nose was out on one of my paintings. I don't actually know what she meant. Not heard from her since, unless she means my nose. Anyway, this is how we do it. So she might do it her way to get her nose in. We're looking at the work. Yeah. Anyway, that's the shadow as well from the nose. You've got that lovely shadow. And the bridge on Mr. Bridges' nose is quite standy outy. Yeah, and the shape around his nostril. So that goes into his moustache. So when you do the moustache and the beard and his mouth, it's just the shapes of where the lips meet and the shadows. So as we come round here under the bottom lip, you can see the shadow there under the lip. You can see the creases at the side of his nose. Not too much, but just a little shape like that. And you can also see where the shadows on his side of his face create that lovely dark shape and the light shape, which is actually giving him a few bags under his eyes like that as well. Because getting on a bit now, aren't we all? So it's quite dark in there. Just drop me charcoal. The forehead is quite big, isn't it? Yeah. So we've got a really big. You look at foreheads, they've got two circles here. Big flat shape in the middle, and then 2 triangles at the side, and that's how it's made up. Okay, keep the width of the mouth on level with his eyes, so you drop a line down from the iris to the corner, something like that. Yeah, don't make it too wide. You can't see his middle muscle, you can't see the white hairs in his tash or anything like that. Just the creases on his face, cheekbones. You can see the darks even on this side, and you get rid of a lot of that bag, but then we've got this bit of a crease underneath. Yeah? And this top eyelid always overhangs the bottom eyelid, so you get that shape. Alright, and then these creases are going into his forehead and the lines in his forehead. This is where, when we get to this shape here, you've got that triangle, you can see, and that's quite dark as well, so you can block that in, blend it with your finger. Okay, we've got some really interesting negative space, which is the shape at the back of his head and also coming down to his beard. Now if you look at his beard, you've got the distance from his bottom lip, which is here, the shadow here, and then the hair on his beard, which actually blends in to the rest of his neck and his t-shirt on this side. So we can just blend that, do a nice shape for the top of his shoulder, going off the picture if you want to put that in. Blend it with your hand, tactile stuff. Okay, and this lovely negative at the side. We don't have to get this spot on because we can use a rubber to remove the background shapes. Where his hair's going backwards, yeah, you're getting that shape, and then it's quite high up on the head then, coming over this side. So again, you look at the distance between the corner of the eye and the cheekbone there, okay, like that. So keep that distance, you want to see it, and then you've got a short distance to where the ear is, but you can't see his ear. If you could see his ears, they'd be on level with his eyebrows, because he's looking straight at you. This one you can see, and then you look at the distance here, again, you haven't got much distance, because that ear comes out something like that, and then you get that lovely angle of his hair at the back, you see, just something like that, and then this goes up into the hair on this side of his head. Okay, and just use your finger to blend it like an egg, like again that egg shape. Okay, we can do his whiskers and things like that later. Keep that nice and blend. We're going to use a rubber to just remove some of those very fine hairs and then soften. So when you get bony bits, you usually get the lighter bits at the side. You can see the hair here, and then when you get the softer areas, you get a reflected light. So just try and see them. Okay. Yeah, I mean, we can't do every hair on his head, but you just do the shape of it like that. So you get the shadow at the top, and it's going lighter at the front, where it's hitting his forehead. Okay, and then we can soften that. We'll get some tissue just to make it softer. Keep that lovely edge there, where it's going into these lines in his forehead. Can you see? Things like that. They're really dark, the eyes. You cannot see them. They're just part of this really dark shape. So that's all you need to draw. Okay? Under that eyelid, and then the shadow from the corners of his eyes as well, which blends into this. We're going to fix this with some fixative later and hairspray. You can see his nostrils, right? Corners. I always say don't try and get a likeness, because you'll start putting his eyes in and everything, but if you get the shapes right, it should start to look like the subject. Alright, so that's the idea, and the more you do it, the better you get at it. You can see his side of his neck, and then you can see his shirt, t-shirt coming around. So that's all we need to put on. Okay. We can you can leave drawing. You don't have to have it too too dark, you can just have a drawing for the top of his shoulder, creases in his forehead. So the majority of his face now is just mid-tone values. Okay. And I'm going to get a piece of tissue just to rub out the light bits, and then I'm going to use a rubber to go back to the white paper. The tissue actually takes the excess off, and where I say you get a highlight there and then you get a highlight here at the top of his head because the light's coming from above, isn't it? And we can actually make the shapes a lot lighter with the rubber later. Try and leave some of those creases in his forehead as just lines, so you take the light off at the other side, on each side of the lines, so you get a more natural kind of crease rather than drawing it with a pen or a pencil or charcoal or whatever. So you get this nice shape. And then we're coming down here, we've got this light right down to his eyebrow where it's catching the face, middle of his nose, the light on the side is on the bridge of his nose, yeah, and the tip, so you bring the light off there. Inside the eye, bottom eyelid, got a little bit on his cheekbone, you see, and that lovely shape which is at the side of his jaw, side of his jawline. The tip of the nose slightly lower. You can see one nostril's catching a bit of light. Lots of light on this side of his face coming off. I've actually got some splashes here which I'm not bothered about because they try and help me to create a more semi-abstract drawing, which is what I'm after. Okay. The top of the mouth, the bottom lip, lots of light catching the bottom lip. Okay. And now I'm going to use the rubber for the rest of his beard. If you want to do the neck and the bit at the front. Okay. And then a lot of this dark area we can leave as negative space. Because if you look here, we've got these really nice shapes this side of his head, which is a little bit lighter. So we're coming down from there into where you can see the hair at the back of his head, and that's giving you these little negative spaces. So here where we've got this kind of frilly bit with his hair, I've got some splash marks there which are good. I want the splash marks to break it up a bit. On his lip, that one and that one, both sides of the lip quite light, and then we've got the light on the top of his lip on this side, and then we've got some of his moustache showing, just coming out from that shadow, and then that goes into this shadow on this side of his face. So we use the side of the rubber like this, just to give you the shapes. Keep the face nice and thin as well. Corners of your mouth are always soft, where the hairs in his beard and things like that, you got these lovely lights and darks, thin. Don't try and paint everyone, it's impossible. It's not impossible, it'll take years, I've got time. And the light catching the corner of his eye, you can see the bottom eyelid. You know, when I always said, oh, put the bottom eyelid in, because you get a lovely light there. And then you get mid-tone where his bags are. This side of his nose is very light because the light's coming from there, and also the Mr. Bridges' bridge of the nose, like I said, is very, very light. So a lot of the work you're doing now is going to show through when you glaze it. So if you can get most of the highlights in and the shapes right now, it'll look more like him afterwards. It should do, okay? But you've always got a chance to kind of redo things as you work with this technique, because it's charcoal, you can just rub it off again. That distance, so keep that distance from the nose to the bag under his eye, you see, and then that disappears into the cheek, like that. And then here at the top of the bag it goes a little bit lighter as it meets up there. So you're getting these really nice shapes. You can see some of his grey hairs in his eyebrows. That lovely negative space at the side of his hair, which is that. And then we've got the shapes coming down to the eyebrow. So your forehead protrudes a bit, sticks out, yeah. All the sweat doesn't run in your eyes. And it gets trapped by the hair and your eyebrows, you see? Bit more. This is not too light, you don't want that too light. Again, we can see the light under his eye there. There's more light catching this side of the cheek than the other. And then this goes up to the nose there, like that. Slightly lighter. And then we get this shape here, blends into the rest of that cheek. Alright. Again, if we can try and teach those, the shapes in between the creases in his forehead. So you get these little dark tones, which are not actually lines, but they look, when you stand by it, they look like creases, you see, rather than having too strong, and they disappear in places, so you can soften them. So you've just got a few creases. That's the way in that style of his head. Get to the top of his head. I mean, I've actually done it the other way, this, and I've gone from bottom to top, which I usually go top to bottom, so it doesn't matter. And that blends into the top of his forehead because it's quite light there, because that's where the light's coming from. And then that goes into your background tones. We can do that in the background if you wanted. Later. Again, we've got a lovely negative space. Soften that area. Use your finger if you don't want to take too much off. The tissue will take a lot more than you want. So if you don't want to take too much off, use your finger just to blend it. Right, so again, that's okay. I've got his ear, which you can only just see, actually. This negative, which is really nice shape, so I'm going to keep kind of blending into the side of his head. We can emphasise that later. This is a nice shape as well, where the background meets the curve of his neck, which is just one tonal value. It's not like that. We can take the light off the bottom of his eye. Don't know what colour his eyes are, but doesn't matter. Just to give you that kind of marble effect, you see? And then on this side, again, we've got the hair coming out from the back of his neck, and then we go into this light tone, which is the background. So if you want to do it like that, that's fine. Stand by. Always keep standing by, yeah. So you can see from a distance, because things need to straighten up. Nearly. Keep the nostrils same with the back, that's your filter, that's the middle of the mouth, and the side of his mouth going down, that's why he's looking so grumpy. Really like, you can see. Keep the eyes nice and dark in there. I'm going to use some compressed charcoal in a bit, just to darken that more into the shadows. Nose, shadows going into his moustache, which creates that lovely kind of curvy bit, and then under his nose. Don't have it too wide, just keep looking at the kind of shape of his nose. Don't have it too wide if you can help it. We're just starting that a bit because, like I said, it's a bit darker, and then this one to kind of balance it up. Yeah, and Obi's face is symmetrical. Everyone's is different on each side. So I've got my rubber here again. I can just see where there's a little bit of light catching top of his what's it called? Am I looking? A little bit of light catching the top of his eyelid inside there. kind of hanging down, so he's got these eyelids like me, so covering his eye nearly. And then the light catching the side of the bottom eyelid, so you've got this kind of shape. Okay, you can get quite a lot done just doing that, but we don't want to overdo it. We want to keep the beard nice and light on this side. Scumble it. We've got it nice and dark. Just go into it with the charcoal, and then we've got it nice and dark under the chin. That blends into the shape of his top lip, and then his chin, and then this shadow again here. Yeah. All that's one shadow because it goes in from around the Adam's apple into his t-shirt. All we do get is a little bit of light here between the bottom of his neck and t-shirt. Just like that. Okay. Yes, thank you. My student's not talking. So again, back of his shirt, you can just see against his neck, and then we can emphasise this bit more where you get that lovely dark and the shadows. Okay, so I'm going to fix him. No, I'm not. I'm going to use some compressed charcoal. I'm quite happy with the shape of the face and his expression, slightly. So compressed charcoal is black pastel. Okay. I can find it anyway. Black pastel, which is very, very dark. Okay. And then I can do certain things like, emphasise the really dark areas. So where I've got the creases in his forehead there, and then inside that eye, very strong shadowy shape. You can see that comes in as well to the side of his nose, and it also blends into his pupil and the iris, and then the top of the eyelid. You get the same on this side. Comes into the nose, down the side of his nostril, bridge of his nose, gives you kind of a sharp, kind of arrow shape, yeah? And then you get the iris, which I can't see that much, but I'm going to just put it in because I want the reflected light. The top of his eyelid, which is sunk in there, and then the side like that, so we can blend that. This is very dark pastel, right? And that's going into the top of the eyebrows, so you can't see it anymore. Side of the nose, very strong creases. Yeah, we don't do this with the children's portraits and things like that because they look very old. So where you've got them in, ragged, rugged faces, that's fine. And then just a little bit of dark on the edge, so we're coming down here on the cheekbone, and that disappears into the cheek, and that also gives me a lovely negative space which you can put in like that, using the side of the pastel. Don't block it in, just draw bits of it. You can bring out the side of his beard, like this, on this side, and the hair at the back of his neck, kind of giving you these shapes, and just blend them like that. Soften it, blend that with your finger, because you're just knocking it back. You've got some hair coming out, you've got these dark shapes within where the light's catching his hair, a few of the creases in his forehead, a little bit darker here on that side, like that. And then we just emphasise that curve and some darks in his beard, bottom of the lip. There's quite a lot of darks in this, so that's all we need to put in. Okay, then we're going to fix him and then glaze him with a few colours. So I just want that lovely edge to his t-shirt. Jeff Bridges. Am I still going? Yeah, I'm still keep kicking the camera. Sorry. Stand back a bit. How's my student doing? Very good, yeah. Very good. He's squashing his chin on, but, yeah.
Do I need to come down further?
Yeah. Take it off the picture. Yeah, as you get to this, chin is underneath the beard, you see. You have to try and imagine where it's going to be, and then the beard's lower than that, so you'll get this pointy face. So it's the way, not just the structure of your face, the chiaroscuro effect, it's also about your hair, if you have a moustache, if you have a beard, things like that makes up the shape of your face. Alright, so I'm going to spray it. Again, I've got some Winsor & Newton fixative, because I keep forgetting to buy some hairspray. But Winsor & Newton fixative works very well, actually. Not the, get the loose pastel off, or charcoal, and then I'm just going to spray everything. Just make sure you spray where you put the compressed charcoal more. Excuse me, just had some dinner, and just spray all the charcoal, the dark bits. Yeah, you want the white there. Keep his face thinner. Look at the negative space behind his head. We can rub out these areas, can keep it dark there if we want, or we can rub out. And the colours are going to help, because I'm going to use some similar colours we did on the last one, which is sienna. We can keep lovely siennas on the left, and then go red and blue on the right, and giving this kind of head-in shadow effect where light's catching this side. As I said, light's coming from above, but it's coming from this side mainly, but from above, yeah. But light put that there, it's this side. Okay, so this side of his face is light, and then we can use some pastel. So I've got some burnt sienna. Again, Winsor & Newton. Just touch, like I said, touch the bits. Try and keep a clean finger, if possible. Just wet your finger and dry it, and then so you don't smudge it. And just touch the compressed charcoal areas. If it doesn't smudge a lot, it's probably going to smudge a bit. If it does smudge a bit, just give it another squirt. Yeah? Let it dry. It dries really quick, this fixative. And then when you glaze it, then you shouldn't actually lose. It shouldn't actually just go into one big blob. Okay, you should get this lovely soft effect. So I've got my burnt sienna. We'll put some in a palette. Don't need a lot. Ultramarine blue. It's this one. Again, Galleria acrylics. Okay. In that middle one. And alizarin crimson, which I haven't got out. Alizarin crimson. You can use any colour you like. Doesn't really matter that much. Okay. So what we do start with is warm colours first and cool colours next, because I don't want to contaminate my burnt sienna with the blue, because that'll turn it into a burnt umber and everything goes brown then. So looking at it from this direction, most of the blue and the alizarin is going to be on this side of the head. Alright? So if I mix a lot of water with my burnt sienna, you could use 2 brushes if you want, just to keep it kind of clean. It's entirely up to you. And then mix some blue. So we don't want the sienna and the blue mixing together in the palette or on your brush, because that'll make a mucky colour. Alright? So we pick up, and we want a glaze. We actually want to see through it. Alright? So I'm not actually going to glaze everything. I do want some warms, like on his face, or this side. And then I'm going to pick up some alizarin and go over this side, like this, like that. And then I'm going to drop some blue in there. I'm a bit mad today. Huh? It's not. It's not going to disappear. It's there. It's there underneath. Okay. He's under there somewhere. Alright, and it's going to blend and run and drip. If if you think it's running too much in his face, screw you then. You just pull it away like that. So that's quite nice here actually, because I've got the sunlight, the light catching his nose on this side, which is sienna, and then I'm going into shadow over here, which is the purpley blue. And it doesn't really matter on fellas if you get blue around the face. We can actually add a little bit more alizarin around his neck, because that would be more in shadow. I kind of like the drapes, so I'm going to leave them. Anywhere that is a happy accident, leave it. Yeah, don't try and change anything. Even the drips here in his beard, you could scratch things out like that, you can see, to make the hairs, because we're on gesso paper, so we can scratch out bits of his beard with the back of a brush or your fingernail, doesn't really matter. And then we need that to dry, more or less, to give us the highlights on the figure. Don't worry about runs. If you don't want the runs later, you can just rub them back to white. Like I do like this kind of white, going to dark, going to white, going to dark, going to mid-tone. Yeah, so it's like you're creating this this contrast across the picture, from white to dark to white to dark to light, you know. So it's not all the same tone, but it's making it, as well as the colours, you're getting the contrast. But I need to dry that off. It's quite thick here. I'm not too bothered because it's in the shadow of his hair. And just dry it off. I forgot to get mine out. Alright, so let's take the shine off. Let's take the shine off, and he's still underneath, but I've just given him a coat of colour, haven't we? Yes. So I've got my cloth, but it's not damp, so I forgot to do that. So I've got a spray, I'm just going to dampen it like that. So where I did take any of that, when I used the rubber, any lights, I'm just going to do the same now with this this damp cloth. Try and keep it a clean damp cloth, if possible. This doesn't look very clean, it's quite it's quite a mess. I should have rinsed it out of it. It's going to get a lot worse than this. So just spray the cloth to get it damp. We don't want it sopping wet because we don't want it running. Anyway, you're just removing, you're just going to remove some of the paint and charcoal to go back to your white gesso. Cockled a little bit, but I'm not too bothered about that. And then we can start, because I want to keep some of the things that's created the happy accidents things, yeah. And when I've varnished this at the end, it's going to really stand out. So if I go up to his head, forehead, and I start to remove, still not wet. The reason we let it dry is it's harder to remove the paint and the charcoal because you're glazing it. So you have to kind of concentrate and do it slowly. That's the reason. If you do it too fast, if you do it while it's wet, it will just remove it straight away. So again, think about where the light is. It's in his forehead. You can use the nail, use your fingernail like that, to put his hair, get the light on his hair. Doesn't matter if you go back to white now because we can still use the the paint to glaze it again if you wanted to, so it's alright. You can do the background, so the hair's coming down there. Side of his head, we got that triangle shape. We've got some hair there which is catching the light, and then the triangle shape's a little bit darker, and then it starts going lighter over the top of his eyebrows. We can use a cloth just to give us that crease in his forehead. That's a nice mix there, because I've got the sienna blending into the alizarin and a bit of the blue. This is giving a purple tone. I'll just concentrate a bit on the body parts of the face, which is the bridge, yeah, the highlights in the middle of the nose, like that, down, and then it softens off a bit in the middle, and then you get the tip of the nose. Sorry? The tip of the nose, like this, and then the cheek. So in a way, what you're doing, you give it, you spend that time trying to get a likeness, and then you destroy it because you don't want it too. What I'm going to do as well, I'm just going to glaze that eye with a bit of purple. Because it's in shadow, you'll get, it'll go slightly darker. So glazing, which is what I did in the first instance, and you can carry on glazing after that as long as you want. Are we still live? Yeah. So again, because I've lost a bit of the background here, I'm going to bring out the side of his head here. Yeah. So don't be frightened of using colour. Don't be frightened of going a bit. You don't go too thick, because if you go too thick, you just can't take it off. But if you get, if it's a wash, then you will be able to remove it, even when it's dry, because it's only thin wash. So here I'm looking at the middle of the forehead, which is a flat shape, like I said, and then as it goes round the corner here, it's slightly darker. So we use the pigment to keep it dark, and then we use the white gesso in the middle. We bring back that white gesso like that. So you need a bit of gumption, you get a bit of elbow grease, that's the word, thank you, Ellen. A bit of elbow grease just to give you these really nice strong highlights, especially on the left hand side of his head. It's really good doing fellas with a beard again, and I know it's not an old man with a beard, but it's again, it's the middle-aged man with a beard, I think. How old is he? And he's the youngest, isn't he? I think Bo Bridges is, it might be in his 80s now. Alright, so we get this lovely crease, yeah? I'm just picking up little bits of the hairs in his eyebrows. This is where I did that bit of a glaze. When I get to the eyes then, you can see that lovely soft. You can take the light off in his eyes actually, using the cloth, like that. And then we'll give him something to look up. What colour are Jeff Bridges' eyes?
I think the hair's a little really close up.
We've got the brown. Yeah. Doesn't matter. It was a black and white image actually. Yeah. Okay. So I don't know. So again here we're getting that lovely light on the side of his face, cheek, and we can soften this, blend it. You're taking the tones off slowly, yeah. Where the nose is there, it's quite a light shape. It's not pure white, but it's quite light. Where the tip of the nose is going to be usually pure white. His nostrils catching the light and then blend it in. Yeah. This nostril is a lot lighter. So we get that nice shape. And this is coming around to create that dark crease. And then we've got the light at the top of his top lip there, just as it blends into his moustache, because that's where the light's catching the top lip. And that goes into the side of his face. Alright, keep standing back, you keep removing the colours, thinking you've gone light enough, and then when you stand back you realise you're nowhere near light enough. So you go back to what you've just done. If it's getting a little bit difficult, sometimes you can give it a kind of a spray, or give it a brush with some colour, with some water, just to help you to remove the excess, and also gives you some texture as well, so if you like texture. You see? That lovely shape. And don't forget, I'm going to go back into this with compressed charcoal again, and we're also going to use some white pastel for his beard. We'll blend this side of his face slightly, and then take out some lights where it goes into the beard and it covers his neck and things like that. Yeah? There's a lot going on there, but we can't do everything, so we just give this an impression. Stick your thumbnail in the cloth. If you've got lovely nails, you know, stick your thumbnail in the cloth. Like that. So that's the corner of his cheek. And it comes down here. The ear is about there somewhere, just seeing the shape. We can blend that and soften it so it's not too obvious. Yeah? And then I move over to this side of his face. Look down the left, it's like any painting. If you leave it unfinished, you get a better result.
Blue eyes, apparently.
He's
Viv
got
says.
blue eyes, who said that?
Viv Newman.
Who?
Viv. Blue eyes.
Oh, Viv. Well done, Viv, thank you. He's got blue eyes. Well, on this one, he's got a purple one and a sienna one. We'll give him blue eyes. Okay. Is the sky blue or dark? Anyway, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Here we've got a little bit of light catching the top lip again, just above his moustache. And then this part of the face blends into just the top of his moustache there. And that's where we're getting, where these light areas are now, is where we're going to put some white pastel. Bring out the lights between the shapes in his hair. Use some of that. See, that's where I sprayed it. And I got speckly bits. Use some of the gesso underneath to give you a light area. Blend that in if you want, into the corner of his neck, just to give you the shape. Alright.
Can I dry this off?
Yeah.
It went into you.
My wife's just going to use the hairdryer, sorry. Excuse me. So bottom lip, two big muscles. The hairs for his moustache. You'll get a reflected light under his nostril there, under his nose, because it's reflecting. Now you can't really see it too much on the right, but you can on the left. But you can do both of them, it doesn't matter, because we're going to go back into it. And just take the light off over the top of his moustache, side of his neck, especially there, because there's a lot of light catching that bit. And then that blends into that cooler colour under the neck. I've left a lot of shadow here, kind of untouched, yeah? Untouched. So we can leave that. Squint, look at the shapes and the bags in his eyes. Remove the shapes. Bottom eyelid. Negative space. Okay. And then I'm going to use right these lines up. You don't want to see where the beard actually finishes. And you can just blend that into nothingness. So I'm going to compress charcoal again. Just have a drink. So when you varnish these, you bring out the dark tone. Again, what's up here? So I put the shape again of the top eyelid, put the pupil and the iris like that, which you can just about see. This brings out the eyes more, because the darkest parts of your face are usually where the eyes are, your eyebrows, things like that. And then we can go back into the places that we did before with this compressed charcoal like that, to give us those strong shadows. Yeah? If you want to go into the side, just blend it a bit. Corners of your mouth are always darker like that. Then you get a bit in the middle which is dark like that. Where the lips meet, and then on this corner as well, keep the distance, keep the light, and then the bit under the bottom lip. Nostril, you can see that one on that side. This one is quite dark, and it's going around his nostril into the shadow there, quite deep. Same over here, but this is this lovely shadow from his nose. I don't want to just draw a circle because it breaks up within his moustache, so you don't just draw a circle, don't just draw a shape, which is what I mean. Again, we can strengthen the dark this side of his face. We can come down here and go into that, into his eye again, blend it if you want to. A few of the hairs under there, do you want to be dark as well, in his eyebrows. Look at the corners of the head, where the cheekbones are, like that. We've got this really dark shape, just starting to bring out the shape of his jaw. Again, we've got this one, which is the negative space of his hair, and that one, which we can bring out. Something there as well, curve. This part of the hair, it's quite dark up here as well. You can go do it as much or as little as you want. Okay? People, put it in and touch it and blend it with your finger. Yeah? Side of his neck, if you want to just do that, and then we can redraw his top of his t-shirt like that. Just have that going off. Same here, lovely negative, top of the t-shirt going off. Leave the drips, light drips. Light drips in painting. Some of the negatives in the hair, which is where it's curving. Nice dark shapes. Again. Here as well, you've got the dark bits on the opposite side. Side of his, again, where the creases are in his forehead, and this lovely dark under his neck, which blends into his beard. Not going to do too much of that, so I can just want it to stay a dark shape. Alright, so we get some bit of ink, a bit of sienna. Oh, it's blue eyes, isn't it? Are they light blue? If they're light blue, we've got a problem. No, we just use a bit of blue, because I've taken the light off in the bottom of his eyes, so if we just put this blue on, probably too blue this now. Like that. Put the blue on. God, it's evil. And then take it off again. Bottom of the eyes. Should end up kind of steely blue or grey. A bit like that, yeah. And then we use some pastel. Stand by. Tend to. Pastel. Beautiful. I mean, whatever you've not got in pure highlight now, you use the pastel. But we don't use it everywhere. You just want to pick out little bits of those lights in there. If you look at the hair, it's just where it curves like that. So right at the front, and then where the hair curves like that. And we don't have to do everything. And we can go this way, and we can go that way. See? Shapes like that, blend them as well. And then if you're coming down here, we've got more kind of shapes in his hair going off the picture. Alright, coming in there, like that, into his eyebrows, which are quite light in places. And soften them as well. Use your finger. Soften the shapes into the bottom eyelid, because that's where you always get. You can use pastel as well for using in his eyes and whatever. Bridge of the nose there, a lot of light there, because his name is Jeff Bridges. And then here we can go to town a bit on the hairs in his beard and his moustache. When we varnish this, you're going to soften these shapes in the beard, or the pastel shapes, so they won't be as bright. But it doesn't really matter, it's not that bad. It's turning into Jesus now, so I've got a lovely light hitting that. Kind of. So a lot of these you're better trying to do with your cloth instead of trying to paint every hair. It's not easy. And then things like that. And then you just see little bits on this side, nothing too obvious. Okay. Sometimes it's nice just to bring out the negative at the back of the head to give a depth to the picture. Like that. You can do a bit on his neck if you want to, just to lighten that part. Bottom lip in the middle, both sides of the bottom lip. That's where they join. You can see where the kind of creases are in his bottom lip. Right. Yeah, we've got a bit of light there, round here, quite light, a nice light at this corner of his eye. We can't see anything inside the eye. Usually you get a lovely light here, but then all we're doing here is getting that angle. If you do this, like I said, just don't do too much white, because you're going to cover up. The idea is to leave the transparency of the image, so that's why you're taking it off, so you get a transparent image. Okay. I've got a bit of blue here. Have you got blue? It's not blue, that is it?
Pastel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could put a bit of blue. So I don't know what sort of blue it is, but put a bit of blue bottom of his eye there, just to emphasise it. You can't see any whites, but you can see a little bit of grey on this side of his eye. So if you put it in, take it off, you give his eyes a more realistic look. Again, we can take out the negative, because you can blend that and it will blend into that colour underneath, you can see. So you get these lovely shapes like that within these areas. So if you don't like drips here, then it's up to you. I do. So and then we can pick out the side of his head and whatever. Okay, fix him. I'm going to fix him again in a minute. If you're happy, what time is it? 5 to. I might fix him, varnish him. I'm going to get a chance to varnish him, I don't think. So we can take more light off now on his cheekbone. See? Back to the white. Same here. Back to the white. You could glaze it warm if you want to. That's the angle side of his head. Just goes up into the forehead. Sun shining. Whee. Up into the forehead like that. Good old Jeff. He's a good medal. Interesting picture. Interesting portrait. I'm not selling it to him for Christmas, I'm just using his image. It's like but Jack Vittoriano, people say, well, you can't do that. But actually using Jack Vittoriano's way of painting to learn from. Isn't that what we do? And if he gets in touch with me and says, I'm taking you to court, I'm not getting much off me because I've not got much, but you know, he can, or I'd take it the other way and say, well, yeah, you're using me as an inspiration to your artwork. I'd be quite pleased with that. Okay, which is what we do actually sometimes when we get people in school asking us, can they use my images, which is the ones I do in the studio, which are nothing like this. Okay, so that's the light around the eyes. Again, we're going back to white. Keep it light here, straight across the forehead. Get that lovely stir, blend this, fix it. I don't ever like that blue actually. Put a bit of white with the blue, give him some lighter blue eyes. Probably nothing like that. Fix him, no varnish, I can't varnish him, can I? I've run out now. Sorry, I can't varnish it, but that's what you'd do. I'm going to fix it. If you fix it with enough hairspray, you get shine on it anyway. I'm going to leave all this, quite like it just, you know, as it is. The only thing I'd probably do is rub out more light in his beard and whatever like that. But I'll fix it first. You can still rub out once we've fixed it, so it doesn't matter. Just a few little squiggly bits. Not too much, because you really start to go overboard. All over, because I've used compressed charcoal as well. Let it dry. Let it dry a little bit. If you use pastel, it will go darker, because that's what fixative does. But because I've only used fixative, I can still rub out the lights and leave the, you know, the little whiter bits. It just knocks it back a little bit. So, why when you do pastel work, when you spray it, you knock it back and then you bring it out again, because it goes a little bit darker. And you can keep doing that to bring it out. Go up to the lip. And that's it, more or less. I'm going to leave him. See this area, you can just softly lighten it. You might spoil it though, just to show that that's the other side of his face, but you don't have to. Just leave it negative. You can softly lighten this so it goes into the shape at the back of his head, around the hair. It's just little things like this, you know, that bring out the sides of the head and whatever. This is a bit, if you look here, it's a bit too long, so I'll take that off. You know, just leave some bits showing, get rid of others. It's all about you. It's all about you. Song there.
There is.
The song there somewhere. Forgot to say it's Happy Mondays. There's a song there, isn't there? Happy Monday. Take the blue out of his eyes again. He's still left with a bit of blue, so it's just a softer version of what you've already got, which is more like his eyes. Don't forget, the side of the mouth is light. That's what gives you the softness in the lips. Alright, I'm going to leave him. What time is it? 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. I'll have to get a little hand on this one. Who said that? Is it Hilda Baker?
Yeah.
The edge away now. Eh? Yeah, and when you varnish it, it brings out all the darks, which makes the lights look brighter. You can get outside now. Good. Okay, let's have a look through the lens. Turn him round a bit. Won't like meeting in a dark alley.
I was really handsome.
You got a handsome. Well, he's handsome with rugby.
I'd like meat now.
I'd like yours.
No, I'd like.
Rust in there. Sorry, I have him in the way. Keep forgetting. He's behind you. I know a joke about that, but I can't tell you. And then you take the tape off to give you a lovely kind of border. And if you want to go, you could use that for bases, for doing other things like palette knife over the top, or just adding colours or whatever, or just leaving it. I'll probably bring out more light before I varnish it in his beard, but I might just leave it. Whatever you want to do, nice softness to it. Alright. So yeah, Jesus. No. Jeff Bridges is. It's still got that really big, more of a stir, hasn't it? Anyway, we'll have a look at that. But yeah, you know, if you're doing a portrait of him, you'll have to spend a bit of money. Thanks for watching again, and I'll see you all Wednesday. Not sure what we're doing on Wednesday. I'm just trying to jiggle things up so we don't keep doing the same thing. Okay, bye for now. Have a good week.